we have to wait an extra moment because it's going to be that shock factor of, oh, this is a thing again. I don't even know if I remember my intro words. Hey, disciples, and welcome to Everyday Hope.
Your daily inspiration from the Word of God.
I was going to metaphorically blow the dust off, but she wiped us down before we started. But it did literally have dust on it. So yeah, we've been away for a couple of weeks. I started a new position, which I really do love. I have a great job, and it's very lax. It's actually owned by a Christian company, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And really enjoy my work there, and it gives me a lot of time to get into God's Word throughout work as well. But that's why we haven't been here. I've been in training, and it's been pretty rigorous. It's been a true test. You pray for God for something, and sometimes you're surprised with how He answers. The job itself was a blessing, but one of the things that's been on my list every New Year is to start waking up early and starting my mornings off with God, and just really be able to do that, because I'm not a morning person. I'm also not patient. Well, He gave me a job where I have to exercise patience.
But never did you ever think you'd be waking up at...
Yeah, I didn't think I'd have a job where I had to exercise patience, but I do to ensure I'm doing things correctly. And then I also have to wake up for training. I had to wake up at 5:30 for my new schedule. I wake up at 4:15 every morning. It's early. So here's a fun little story for you guys before we get into today's word. And so I was like, man, that's too early. Jesus probably woke up with the sun. And I said it without thinking too much. And I just said it jokingly to her.
Actually, what you said was, it's an ungodly hour. And I said, I'm sure Jesus was up at those times.
I don't know why she thought that. And first off, I just said it past nobody would be up that early. Jesus won't be up that early. And so here we are. We go to a church service, and we get to hear the pastor speak. And lo and behold, the verse he uses is, "And Jesus was up before the sun." I was like, oh.
I instantly looked over and was like, it's a godly hour.
So we don't win all the arguments, fellas. Just most of them. I'm not always right.
Mom's always right. Don't play yourself, kids.
Yeah, so I've been very blessed, very happy. Been doing good with the new schedule. I go to bed super early. But what I do is I do get to work. Do get to work extremely early. And the whole reason I wake up at 4:15, I realistically could wake up at 4:45 and do the same thing. But then I wouldn't have my 30 minutes of time with the Bible in the morning. I feel like that's what you have to have. And in my eyes, there's no difference between 4:45 and 4:15. They're both terrible hours. But so this week we're back. Everyday Hope's back on full schedule now. Every day, Bible studies Thursday. We're back at it. No Hope Sundays. You guys can count on us to be here.
Game Day Wednesdays.
We'll be doing them earlier. You guys can watch whenever you want, but we'll probably be closer to 4 now because I go to bed super early and eat dinner earlier than I used to. But we're doing hard loves this week, and I love you guys, and I love you so much. I'm willing to give you these hard truths. So before I talk to you guys,
I'm willing to scold you like a father.
I don't want you guys to necessarily think I'm scolding you, but I am going to tell you some truths in the Bible that aren't popular. Some truths that a lot of us like to ignore, and I know I ignored it for a long time, and even when I first got saved, I tried to ignore it until I was overcome by the truth of it. I'm allergic to cats. So that's what this week's going to be about. Hard truths, hard love. We got to get it out of the way. We got to talk about it. And we got to start practicing it. No more being ignorant. No more pretending like it doesn't exist, because we all know as Christians we're going to be held accountable for every breath, every second, and everything we did. And we saying to God, I didn't think it was that bad, or I didn't know. He's going to say, I gave you my word. I gave you pastors. I gave you everything. Don't tell me and lie to me you didn't say you didn't know.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about entertainment. Now, entertainment itself is not quote-unquote bad. I'm not saying it's evil. I'm not saying your radio's possessed, your TV is filled with demons, you gotta throw them out. Not gonna say that at all. But entertainment is filled with so much filth, and it just overflows in it. I would say like 90% of what's on TV, on the radio, or in movie theaters should not be viewed at by kids, let alone adults. So, what are some of the ratings you would avoid?
Obviously, rated R is off the list. And then when researching like some movies and TV shows that are rated mature, I'd say they're off the list too. Mature shows are Weeds, what was it? Orange is the New Black, and episodes like
mature
that.
TV shows.
Yeah, and it's just
Whoa.
like that's. It's not. Would you feel if Jesus was sitting there on the couch next to you, watching it with you? Would you feel comfortable?
I got a
watching
list
those
for you guys at the top of 2016, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you watch this, you know you shouldn't be. I read descriptions. I haven't seen most of these. Of all these shows, I've seen maybe an episode of one of them, two of them. I've never seen any of these movies. And it's nothing I would put in my life since I've been saved. And before I was saved, I watched all this stuff, and I tried to think nothing of it. But even then, I knew that a lot of what I would see in movies is morally wrong for the actors to be doing, for me to be watching, etc. So, am I saying you're wrong for watching this? Yes, I am. No, it is very sinful. And so, some of the shows I'm going to talk about, Game of Thrones. Okay, these are just lists I pulled for 2016 top shows. Read 2 lines of that. Terrible. There's rape. There's a lot of lusting, unconsensual sex. There's a lot of sex scenes from what I read. There's a lot of violence and killing and gore, betrayal and greed. And maybe you're going to say the excuse of, well, isn't that what's in the world? That's how we're supposed to be. The Bible is very clear that we're not meant to join in sin. We're not meant to just partake because we see it. We're supposed to be the light that shines in the darkness. That's our job. Orange is the New Black. They don't want to get started about the terrible things I read in the description about prison, same-sex affairs, and marriage going on at the same time. Is really weird. Walking Dead, strong violence. Again, a lot of explicit scenes. Same American Horror Story, House of Cards is full of lies and deceit. Modern Family, dark humor, inappropriate comedy. I don't know a whole lot about any of these, so you see my experience is limited. Movies, Deadpool, Suicide Squad, Sausage Party, Bad Moms, Neighbors. The descriptions of these movies and the reasons why they're rated R are not reasons any Christian should be watching these movies. So obviously a lot of you guys are just turned off with me right now. You're already watching this, and maybe you're about to turn this off, and you don't want to watch Everyday Hope today because this is something you don't want to take away. And I have to ask you, if you're already listening to me saying that we shouldn't be watching these things, and you're already wanting to turn this off and ignore me, has it not already become an idol in your life? Is it not already something that's taking the place of God for you? Is it already something that you know is bad, but you refuse to turn away from? Is that not you choosing this worldly thing over God? That's something you have to ask yourself. So, as always, at Everyday Hope, we always want to say, well, what does the Bible teach about this? What does the Bible say? And so, let's start with Psalm. And I feel like Psalm says it best. So, in Psalm, we read... Sorry.
What do we read?
I gotta remember what I wanted to read. Did you go over all the ratings?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, back to like what I was saying, you want to make sure that you feel comfortable. I mean, you don't want to choose. Even statistics say that if you watch the shows that partake in sin, you're more likely to partake in it in your life.
And they do have a direct correlation of what you watch and listen to and how it affects your personal life. Not to mention, especially for radio, for example, you know, you think those songs are fine and it's just a song, what harm can it do? You'd be so surprised. I'm surprised just going to the mall or we go to the park with our kids, what we hear other kids singing that they heard on the radio. You don't realize how much it affects you, but not only you, but the people around you.
Yeah.
They absorb that information, and what are you spreading? Because it isn't love of God. And if God's not in it, neither should we be. So Psalm 101, I don't know why I thought it was 103, says this: I will walk in my house with a blameless heart. I will set before my eyes no vile thing. The deeds of faithless men I hate. They will not cling to me. Men of perverse heart shall be far from me. I will have nothing to do with evil. Whoever slanders his neighbor in secret, him I will put to silence. Whoever has haughty eyes and a proud heart, him will I not endure. My eyes will be on the faithful in the land, that they will dwell with me, he whose walk is blameless. No one who practices deceit will dwell in my house. No one who speaks falsely will stand in my presence. Every morning I will put to silence all the wicked in the land. So my favorite part of this is that line that says right here that I will set before my eyes no vile thing. That comes straight to TV and movies. Do not place it before you. Don't even look to it. And what David's really saying here is he wants nothing to do with evildoers. He wants nothing to do with evil men. He doesn't want to associate himself with these negative influences that are going to trouble his life and take him away from God. So, am I saying you shouldn't go out there and preach the lost? Not at all. We were made, in a sense, as doctors for the sick, right? So we want to minister to those people especially, but we don't want to indulge in their lifestyle. If you're ministering to a drug addict, it doesn't mean you should start doing drugs with them. And likewise, you shouldn't indulge in the things that God would not be proud of. And like my wife said, if Jesus wouldn't watch it, neither should we be. If you would be comfortable with Jesus watching that with you, I don't think you should either, whatsoever. Is that to say all entertainment's bad? No, there are some great things out there. I know we have PureFlix, and it's a great way to have a filtered version of TV shows and movies that are appropriate. There are movies I love besides Passion of the Christ. I did enjoy quite a bit the new one by Mel Gibson, and I want to remember what it was called. Hacksaw Ridge. Was a good movie. It did have some violence in it, but a very godly message to it. And it's not to say that movies can't have those things, but it needs to have a very filtered amount. If Passion of the Christ, they make it realistic to the time. I can understand that to an extent, but we don't need an excess amount of violence that would be unnecessary to tell the story. Or a creative artist shouldn't need to rely on lust and violence to tell a good story. Mm-hmm. What else does the Bible say? Well, Hebrews 10:26 says, if we deliberately keep on sinning after we have received knowledge of the truth, no sacrifice for sins is left. So what does that say? If we know it to be sin and we keep doing it anyway, no sacrifice can atone for that. This is New Testament, you guys. So we can't keep on sinning and call ourselves saved. We can't keep on giving in. Now, it's one thing that we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. But to continue on in a life with an idol in sin is a lot different to live in sin than to still be a victim to sin. I think those are vastly different things. James 4:4 says, you adulterous people, don't you know that friendship with the world is hatred toward God? Anyone who chooses to be friends with the world becomes an enemy of God. That's a hard teaching. We said it was about hard love. So, we can't let the world get in and take the place of God. I don't usually do a lot of research before we talk about these things. When God places on my heart, I talk about and let Him talk through me. And He put on my heart to kind of look into what some more tenured pastors have said on this topic. And so I want to share with you guys what some other pastors had to say. I don't think they want deliberate credit, but I'll give you some of the names of them without naming it all in my notes. So, people I looked at were John Piper, a great pastor, great author.
One of your favorites.
One of my favorites. Paul Washer, Leonard Ravenhill, who has been on for a long time, David Wilkerson, Carter Conlon, and those are just a few of the big ones to name them. So, let's see. So, one of my favorite quotes from Leonardo Ravenhill, and he says this: "Entertainment is the devil's substitute for joy. Because there's not enough joy in the world, we need entertainment. And joy true joy can only be found in Jesus Christ."
And I like that because, you know, you think about like when we were kids, we didn't play video game systems. I don't remember playing them when I was like 5 or 6, which is like our kids' age now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what all they want to do is like, can I play video games now? Can I play video games now? Can I watch a movie? You know, we constantly have to remind them, like, there's so many other things that we can do, and so we set aside time, like, okay, well, let's have arts and craft time, let's do this, let's do that. Remind them of fun games that we can play outside together, or activities we can do inside. We do hide and seek at night inside the house. Like, there's so many fun things that children today forget about and lose. There's so much joy outside of worldly entertainment that children forget about.
Our kids don't have TVs in their rooms. We don't keep a TV in our room. We have our computer in there because we don't have a big house, room for an office.
Yeah.
I need that. We only have one in the living room. It's all shared TV. Paul Washer talks about how anytime you're spending with television and watching that filth, not only are you getting into sin, but you're taking away from time with God, number one, time with your family, number two, or time you could be putting into something productive, a new skill. Because Paul Washer says, don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't ever watch TV. I really do enjoy, he's a very hands-on kind of guy. He talks about like some home improvement or hunting shows where it shows how to use survival skills and things like that.
Like HGTV?
He says he won't touch any reality shows, things like that, any of that filth. And this is his words, not mine, so don't put this too much on me because he's pretty harsh.
Don't backlash you.
But I will back him to say I believe this to be true. He said, how sad is your own life that you need to seek joy in watching other people's play out a fake life. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's true. I mean, how much joy are you not getting in your own life? You have to seek joy and pleasure out of watching pictures on a screen and fake people imitate a fake life. That's all we're watching, you know? David Wilkerson, who is completely against TV, you know, they all have different stands, and won't touch it whatsoever with any show, movie. I doubt he's using Passion of the Christ. David Wilkerson has passed away, unfortunately, but he says this: I ask this question out of love. I want to ask you, who told you that it was okay? Who told you it was okay to watch that filth? It wasn't the Holy Spirit. It wasn't God. It wasn't Jesus. He would never allow that filth. He would never want you subjected to that. He's pretty harsh too.
Yeah, that is true.
It is true. You know, never have I been watching any program on TV and thought to myself, or have I ever prayed and asked God, can I watch this? Have I ever felt like God's like, no, it's okay. You can watch Teen Mom. You can watch The Kardashians. Never will God put that in your heart that that's something He wants you to do.
You never feel in your heart like something pushing you to say, go sit down and watch that show.
And you never feel content in your heart while doing it.
Yeah.
Never you like hard pressed. Now, like I said, there are some movies out there I like. I do like Passion of the Christ. I do like Hacksaw Ridge. I'm really excited to watch The Case for Christ. I was in theaters. We never make it to the movie theaters.
No.
But I'll be excited to see that, and there is some good stuff out there. And we do let our kids watch Disney movies. We love Disney movies in our house. We watch them too. Pixar, Studio Ghibli, all great, but we're very filtered in our lives of what we allow in. If the music is derogatory, if it slanders anybody of race or stereotypes them in any way by race, the way they dress, genders, anything like that, uses curse words to emphasize a point, is hostile or violent, we don't listen to it. 95% of what we listen to comes from Christian radio stations or Christian songs that we know, and 5% is other stuff we listen to, but it's very filtered. The bands that we allow our kids to listen to or that we listen to, it still has to meet all that criteria. The same goes when we watch TV. So I already gave you guys Pure Flakes, but pluggedin.com is a website. And for any TV or movie, or TV show or movie, it will actually give you a Christian review on how appropriate it feels like it is for you. And if it has lines that it flirts with, it will tell you what it does to flirt with those lines to let you have that expectation ahead of time as to whether or not you feel like God would be okay with you watching that.
Yeah, like for example, I heard on a review on the radio today by Plugged In for the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and so it gave it a 2 out of 5 on the family rating scale. So they base it based off of like, is it appropriate to show to the family? So, which is cool. So, and they'll explain why, like words or sexual innuendos or whatever it might be.
You guys, bottom line is this. I would have shared one more, but I didn't lose it. Partly lost it. Sorry. Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So it comes down to this. And I know a lot of you guys would disagree with me. You're probably already gone if you do. But if you're left, I just want to say this. The fact that you find it so unrealistic is because you can't and won't stop. It's just like anybody try to get to quit smoking, quit drinking, or quit doing drugs. I can't stop, I just don't want to. And my question is, when did it ever become about what we want? That's not what this life is about. It's not to give in to every want and every desire we have, but to trust God enough to say, not our way, but your way. Now, if you think it's okay for you to watch that show and you pray with God and you feel like He's giving you a concrete answer to go do so, go ahead and do it. Always listen to God before me. But I agree with David Wilkerson, and never in my life do I think that God's ever anointed me to watch any sort of filth on television for any reason. I have eyes for my wife only. 95% of TV will use provocative women to try to prove a point. I don't think that's right. It's just a false idol in our life, and I want you guys to take a stand and filter what you watch and what you listen to, because it takes you away from God. That's why he's so adamant about not loving the world and saying that if you do, love for him isn't there, because you're choosing it over him and his word. You're placing that above obedience to God, above love for God, above time for God, time for your family, and love for your family. Because again, when you put that stuff on TV and on the radio, you're not the only one being subjected to it. The people around you are. The people in your life, whether it's your mom, dad, brother, sister, roommates, kids, wife. You're meant to be leaders of your home, all of us as parents. And so I ask you to give obedience to God and not to yourself. It's not about what you want. True test of knowing God is saying, I'll obey him even when I don't agree with him. Because you know that his ways are right and our hearts are deceitful. So it's a hard teaching, guys, and it's about hard love. So bear with us this week, but I don't want you guys to ever leave Everyday Hope and say, well, they never talked about that, because then I wouldn't be doing my due diligence that God put on my heart. I'm not willing to leave you guys not knowing. It's our job to try to give you guys encouraging word, uplifting word, but also words of truth. And that's our goal here. So, what's the encouraging part of the message? You don't have to deal with that filth anymore. But no, there's a whole world of great programming out there to lift you up and encourage you. So get the negativity out and start only watching things that will uplift and encourage you in your walk with God. Mm-hmm. That's what we want for you. And that's what God wants for you. As always, guys, never lose hope.
You don't know what tomorrow may bring.
See you tomorrow.